Good day, everyone, and welcome to Obidient Family TV. Today is another day, and of course, there is massive protest, online protest about the abduction, or you call it kidnapping, of Dele Farotimi. And of course, His Excellency P2B has lent his voice among so many others who are protesting online. As you know, yesterday, the news broke out about the outspoken criticism of Bola Tinubu that is coming from Dele Farotimi. We all know that. And as we also know that yesterday he was taken into custody following a defamation petition by one they said is of Tony Elumelu, and of course they have another one that they said is from Chief Afe Babalola San. Now, so many people are reacting to this very arrest, but a video clip of how that abduction happened is actually trending, both while the police are taking him out, while they were in the office of the place, how they confiscated both the phones, or rather stole the phones of the staff working for her. Also credit to Aisha Yusuf, who was obviously brought that very clip for us. And also we saw them taking Farotimi away. So obviously there is so many people who have spoken. Also, we have a short interview of also the barrister who obviously is his lawyer, who was around, whose phone also was confiscated during this very arrest. And we also have the interview of the lady who also was interviewed in this. But before we bring you all of this, let's start with the reaction coming from the Arise news, what is trending, wherein all the attacks, all the discussions of the people who are actually sending their tweet and all of that, including His Excellency P2B's tweet. Let's get the commentary from that, and then we take it off from there.
Media is awash with reactions over the arrest of human rights advocate Dele Farotimi, who on Tuesday morning alleged in a statement that officers attached to the Ekiti Police Command has perfected plans to abduct him from Lagos. Farotimi accused the command of deploying questionable means to lure him for arrest, despite honoring the invitation of the Zone 2 Police Headquarters in Lagos some weeks ago. The spokesperson for the Ekiti State Police Command confirmed Farotimi's arrest to journalists on Tuesday, saying that he was arrested over a petition about alleged defamation and cyberbullying, but declined to name the complainant. Well, let's take some reactions. If we can pull up the reactions, we know that the activists had said that, police officers from the Ekiti command were acting on a petition allegedly filed by Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Let's take some reactions, if we can do that really quickly. Reactions, yes? Okay. Yes. Well, you know that Farotimi had... this is a huge story. I mean, we have a bunch of reactions. I know I have Omoyele Showere's tweet there, if we can do that. Omoyele, okay, let's pull up Inibehe's tweet. Inibehe. He had written on X saying that distance from Lagos to Ekiti State is more than 7 hours. There is no airport in Ekiti. That is the horrendous journey the police is embarking on because of alleged case of defamation of character. Dele Farotimi wrote about the rot in the Nigerian criminal justice system, and he's experiencing it again in real time. As a lawyer, it is one thing to know how deeply flawed Nigeria's justice system is. It is another thing entirely to personally suffer from that unjust system as a lawyer. I'll take Peter Obi's tweet. He wrote, I just learned of the arrest of Dele Farotimi, a respected human rights lawyer and advocate, over an alleged allegation of defamation. This action is a gross misuse of police powers and a grave assault on the principles of democracy and justice in Nigeria. I condemn this action in totality. It represents not only an attempt to intimidate opposing voices from questioning authority, it is also a worrying signal to every Nigerian who loves and values freedom of expression and dares to demand accountability and transparency. I'll take Atedo Peterside's tweet. He wrote, "The people writing petitions against Dele Farotimi, along with their errand boys in the Nigerian police, have actually defamed themselves far more than Dele could ever have done. There is no hiding place for them. Dele Farotimi is a brilliant intellectual and a detribalized Nigerian who epitomizes the conscience of the nation by their activities." Well, Serap also wrote, breaking. The Tinubu administration must immediately release activist Dele Farotimi, who is reportedly arrested for alleged defamation. Nigerian authorities should not be using criminal defamation laws to turn critics into criminals and undermine freedom of expression. The first tweet I had was Omoyele Sowore, who actually posted a video of, the CCTV footage of the actual arrest. If we have a Showore's tweet, let me know. But we do have that video. This has been condemned by...
So this here are the expressions of what is coming on as a massive protest that is going online. But also, I want us to go beyond online protest and make this to be real. So I call on a notable Nigerian who had voiced out vehemently about this very arrest or abduction, as the case might be, to actually take action, not just on the pages of newspaper, not just on tweets, but also mobilizing people to protest against the police for the immediate release of Dele Farotimi. Is this, in his book, there's actually a book that is causing this, and he narrated his experience with the justice system in Nigeria in that very book, including his personal experience in a case he was involved some years ago involving the senior advocate of Nigeria, based on what he told the people. So I think, and he has said as at last week that his life is at risk, and obviously that is what's going on. But before we go on to the discussion, let's also listen to the lawyer who actually was involved when this abduction happened, and who obviously explained that also his phone was also seized during this. Let's take a listen on that, and credit, of course, to the network that brought that across to us. Let's take a listen.
And he walked into what used to be his office. And whilst he was there, I was walking, and then I heard this commotion. I heard the commotion, and I opened my door, and I saw some men in jeans, and they had a vest, RRX, and Rapid Response Squad, and they had guns. And one of them walked towards me and said, "Give me your phone." And I said, "Why do you want my phone?" And he said, "I'm going to shoot you, give me my phone." And he took my phone from me, and then I followed him, trying to inquire. Yes, he threatened to shoot me. Okay. So I walked towards him, inquiring, "Who are you? What?" And he said, then he raised his gun and said he was going to shoot me if I come near him. So I stood where I was, and then I saw them walk with Mr. Farotimi down through the lounge where we were standing, and then they went downstairs. And it happened very quickly, and in a few minutes they were out of here. And whilst that was happening, I could hear my cleaner crying downstairs. So I went downstairs. I tried to find out what was happening, and she then told me that they assaulted her. She was beaten, and then they took the devices of everyone. As the guys were coming in, they were taking phones from the table, anything valuable they found on the table, mobile devices. They took them, and then they also threatened to shoot one of my associates, Gilbert. In fact, at the point they asked him to follow them outside, and they threatened they were going to shoot him. And in fact, one of them, even from what I hear, was telling the other they should shoot him. That was what Gilbert told me, and then, but they didn't. Thankfully, nobody was shot, and they walked away. So that's the much that I know. I can speak to what happened here today because I witnessed it.
here today. I noticed the one of them. I recognized him because he was here on Friday last week. Then I was telling our spirit that you should not allow any stranger to be staying around here or to park any vehicle here. I was telling him that because it's good for a security purpose. And this thing that just happened just a recent, my boss sent me that I should go and buy some sweet for her, and I came back. Then our boss told me to go and I came back, I meet my boss in the office. He now said that he wants to eat, so let me go and buy food for him. Then I wanted to come down, he came down from the steps, he now just enter from the backyard and hit me. I said I should not talk anything, this and that. He now pointed a gun on me. I was very scared. He now pushed me that I should tell him direct to our real boss. That is why I just get there. As I just get there, he was slapping me, maltreating me, that let my boss bring his safe, so that if not, they would deal with me here. Then my boss was very scared that he don't want anything to hurt me. He now stand up and said, okay, let them take everything that they need. Then I even collected my phone. That is what happened, because as he first came, they came without any uniform or any gun. They come in personal, because you will not even notice something is going to happen.
Well, that we have heard from the lawyer that was with him when this thing happened, the abduction happened, and also we have also heard from the lady that worked with him. But sometime last week, Dele Farotimi envisaged what will happen, and he wrote, something that is more of a press statement where he began to express his suspicion, and of course said he was having message from individuals clearly attempting to lure him to certain location where he feared he might be abducted. And he said it became evident that these individuals were operating outside the standard procedure. And he said as a precaution, he approached the Lagos State High Court seeking enforcement and protection of his fundamental human rights against these unconventional tactics. He also alerted his associates and staff, urging them to exercise caution. And of course, he said to his dismay, the situation escalated when one of his domestic staff was targeted. And obviously, we have seen confession coming out from the people. So what I'm saying right here is we at Obidient Family TV is saying, yes, there is an uproar in the media, the written, and of course X, which is Twitter, and of different places. But we think that what will be more obvious will be a physical protest, because this continues to happen. It's not just about Dele Farotimi. It can happen to the next person. They have previously threatened Aisha Yusuf of an arrest of this kind. So we are suggesting that a physical protest, even if we say, oh, it's a sponsored protest, let it be a sponsor. Which protest has not been sponsored? Chief Bola Tinubu has been sponsoring protests in the past, as the case might be. So we suggest that this very protest that is going on everywhere and everybody is shouting for Dele Farotimi to be freed, we are joining them and we are speaking on that behalf, but we also call for a physical protest to make sure that Dele Farotimi is released from wherever they took him to. And of course, they should toe the line of justice, because this is, whether it's libel, defamation, it's not criminal, except if there is other ones that I can be corrected on that. But at the same time, this is a civil matter. We should go to court, and of course, they should litigate the issues there. So let's quickly and finally take what the Orofai and his team at Arise TV described on that very incident, and how they tactfully, of course, said a whole lot to see how Dele Farotimi could be freed. Let's take a listen.
Media is awash with reactions over the arrest of human rights advocate Dele Farotimi, who on Tuesday morning alleged in a statement that officers attached to the Ekiti Police Command has perfected plans to abduct him from Lagos. Farotimi accused the command of deploying questionable means to lure him for arrest, despite honoring the invitation of the Zone 2 Police Headquarters in Lagos some weeks ago. The spokesperson for the Ekiti State Police Command confirmed Farotimi's arrest to journalists on Tuesday, saying that he was arrested over a petition about alleged defamation and cyberbullying, but declined to name the complainant. Well, let's take some reactions. If we can pull up the reactions, we know that the activists had said that, police officers from the Ekiti command were acting on a petition allegedly filed by Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Let's take some reactions if we can do that really quickly. The, Nigerian Bar Association by Afenifere. I mean, it really is a gross violation about these sort of arrests. We've seen it only recently. I believe it was this musician who was arrested for defamation. And we talked about the enabling laws. Speed Darlington and Burna Boy. Dr. Abati, the enabling laws that covers, the arrest for defamation of character.
Okay, Section 373 of the Criminal Code deals with defamation. What is defamation? When you expose another individual to ridicule, to hatred, or you lower the person's estimation, integrity in the eyes of members of the public. So to that extent, in other words, we're saying that nobody has a right to defame or libel the other person. That's what the law says. The law, however, says that there is defense. If you are speaking out of public interest, if there is justification to say that you are saying the truth, in other words, it's not automatic that when you are accused of libel, you will be punished for it. Now, there's been some argument whether it's a criminal offense or it's a civil wrong. Well, in Nigerian laws, a civil wrong can also be a criminal offense, particularly if it leads to a breach of peace. In the Aviomo case, determined by Justice Ogunwomoji, which has been quoted in the last 2 days, what it says is that in Lagos State and Edo State, defamation is not considered a criminal offense. But where it can become a criminal offense is when it leads to breach of public peace and violence. But in this specific case, which the Mazi Afamusigwe SAN, had to intervene. We were told that the policemen went to Dele Farotimi's law firm and disrupted the work of the lawyers, and that even one lawyer was rough-handled in the place. Now, the NBA president and NBA as a body has to stand up to ensure that people do not just keep going to people's law firms and harassing people all over the place. So Mazi Afamusigwe is to that extent right. And then the second thing is that we were told that Dele Farotimi was abducted. It was in a gangster-like, operation that he was picked up. So there are persons who have said he was not arrested, he was abducted. Because if they want to arrest him, he's a lawyer, they will have invited him. Even if he's a lawyer, he's not a lawyer, he will have been invited. And he said about a week ago, he was at the Zone 2 Police Headquarters, where he was presented with 2 different allegations, one by the chairman of United Bank for Africa, the other by Chief Afe Babalola, SAN. Now going to abduct him, coming from Ekiti Police Command to come and abduct somebody in Lagos. The question that the Nigerian police force will have to explain to us is whether that is standard police operating procedure. So it's the untidiness of it that is also part of the problem. The Lagos Police Command could have apprehended him if that needed to be done, and they could have handed over to the appropriate jurisdiction, not to go and abduct somebody from his office. And the Ekiti Police Command, they even had the courage to come and say that they came to Lagos to take him, and they were taking him to Ekiti Police Command.
7 hours journey.
It's a law enforcement. The police is a law enforcement body. They should not be seen to be lawless. Finally, whatever the matter is, I don't think Dele Farotimi will be afraid of them. He's a lawyer. He will get his own lawyers, and he will meet them in court. His rights must be respected. So that if you accuse a man of defamation does not mean that the man is a convict per se.
Yeah.
He has a line of defenses open to him. Truth, public policy, justification, and all of that. And absence of malice. Once he can prove that he's not speaking out of malice and that he's speaking in public interest, so nobody should think that because they are highly placed, they can intimidate anybody. And no lawyer is afraid of going to court. You cannot intimidate him with a law
you know, he had written some comments in a book that was published. I mean, and he said that the comments in the book were about, sitting in Lagos. It's supposed to be in Lagos. The book was published in Lagos. Why go all the way to Ekiti? Those are some of the angst out there. I mean, but we did see the footage, the CCTV footage. And, the police, they did maintain decorum. You saw that. They were in rough handling him and all of that.
No,
did you see that? Did you see that part?
I saw that, but NBA's statement released said that they harassed, the word they used was harassed some lawyers in the building and seized some of their phones. So they were not actually gentlemen in this regard. And a number of people have said that the police should not be used as a tool, a weapon of oppression. We often talk about this a lot of times. And like Dr. Batia said, the people who are meant to be law enforcers should not be seen to be breaking the law or disrespecting the rule of law. And I think that's where the challenge is. If you have a grouse with someone, we can talk about the technicalities of Lagos State, Ekiti State, whether they had jurisdiction to come to Lagos State to arrest someone in Lagos State and take him to Ekiti State. Those are conversations. But it is the fear that the police seems to favor. So in Nigeria, law enforcement agents like the police seem to favor you if you have power, if you have authority, and will disrespect the law. So what is the hope of the common man? That is the painful thing about this. If a man who is outspoken, a lawyer like Dele Farotimi, can be treated in this manner. Imagine what other common Nigerians on the street are going through, where people who are not investigated are thrown into custody without proper due process, just because someone, an oga at the top, or someone who has power and influence, order the police to do so. This is what I was talking about with South Korea, that we have, our institutions are in shambles, and we need to fix that if we're going to have a proper democracy in Nigeria. And I'm glad that a lot of people have come out to speak about this. It can be Dele Farotimi today. It can be anyone else. Tomorrow they come and pick you, Rufai, and just bundle you to Kutuwenje or to Kaduna just because you said something. And you know the irony of it?
Out there
the name of the book is Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Look at that. Look at it on show.
The actual irony of it. I mean, we've discussed this at length. I know that you have a point to make in this.
So
before
in
we take
1981,
another.
I just have to be sure about the date. In 1981, Fela sang a song. I'll sing two songs before I buttress my point. It said, I open my eye and I see for my country power show. Everywhere, every corner, everybody they do power show. Power show. Fela also sang another song. Zombie, oh zombie, zombie, oh zombie. Zombie no go come unless you tell them to come, zombie. Those songs are very apt today concerning the case of Dele Farotimi. And for all that thought Dele Farotimi was very strict and very stern in his words when he will come here and said there was nothing as a Nigerian citizen, Dele has been proven right today. Dele, take your flowers, because you were correct. Because like Dele will say, Nigerian citizens don't have rights. Their rights are trampled upon. It's just about one big man not liking your face. They'll tell the police, and the police will run along. But the same police that comes to meet us, to defend them. I remember my boss, I admire so much, Prince Uduka Baegbana, talking about the story of a guy top there in military intelligence and the role he did to track down journalists. He said one night he saw somebody in his Frank Omenka. He saw somebody in his kitchen, and the next thing, the same Frank Omenka that was violating them now became the Frank Omenka that was running for help. You see, those I really want to talk about. Thank you for all of those that have commented and speaking up Dele Farotimi. Those that I pity the most are the slaves that are going everywhere to say, good for him, because he's talking for justice, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I will just remind them, there's a Yoruba saying, that the cane that was used to beat the last wife is still there waiting.
Yeah.
The senior wife.
The senior wife is still there waiting for all of us. All of us will chop that cane one day, and you will see how brutal the Nigerian state can be.
Yeah, well,
so don't worry, keep abusing him.
No.
You can never be as great as the soul of Dele Rotimi's feet.
Yes, I really liked
You've heard all from them, and for us, we say, well, free speech is really not a crime, and we also join the many voices calling for the release of Dele Farotimi, and we also say that this massive protest happening online should be replicated physically so that we can also match what is going on in Nigeria. It is not only Chief Bola Tinubu's government that know how to hire people to go and protest. Let's be clear. We have people who can also protest even without being hired, especially when they are motivated by people who care. Well, that is all we have to do right now. We'll keep our eyes open, and also keep on looking at the reports that will be coming in so that we can keep all our viewers updated. Thank you so much for being with us, our viewers, at this very hour. Please do like, share, and of course subscribe so that other active citizens will know that what is happening in Nigeria is touching them across the globe. Thank you so much. Until we come back again, bye for now.